取望月之火，此时在我一身凶险之中，也如前3。神之语，
亡灵小贼，老夫今日定将你挫骨扬灰！
此乃8星古神才能拥有的破碎之技。
Renegade Immortal, Episode 144. Just how terrifying is the wrath of the Moongazer? With a single roar, it shattered Wang Lin's immortal energy. One finger from an ancient god nearly cost Wang Lin his life. After gathering a massive number of ascension fruits from the great families of the northern Luotian region, Wang Lin entered Yunxia planet for the second time. His goal was clear: obtain the Moongazer bone and complete the heaven-defying bead. When Wang Lin arrived on Yunxia planet, the dense fog there was able to block divine sense. He ordered the Thunder Beast to release faint arcs of lightning to break apart the mist, then summoned the 7-star sword formation to open a path ahead. He deliberately slowed his speed, remaining extremely cautious. But just as he was about to break out of the fog, a long, slender tentacle suddenly lashed toward him. Wang Lin instantly recognized it. This was the Moongazer's attack form. His heart shook violently. The last time he came here, the Moongazer had still been asleep. For some unknown reason, it had awakened ahead of time. Unwilling to give up, Wang Lin gritted his teeth and charged out of the mist. The scene before him made his scalp go numb. The ground was covered with dark red tentacles, each thousands of feet long. This meant the Moongazer was currently transitioning into its attack state. Using the inherited memories of ancient god 2C, Wang Lin refined a large number of ascension fruits into a red mist. The mist spread over the tentacles within 100 jang radius. The strange power of the ascension fruits soon took effect. The tentacles covered by the mist became sluggish and numb. Seizing the chance, Wang Lin carefully moved between them, dripping the condensed ascension fruit liquid into the root of each tentacle. Just as he completed the setup and prepared to leave, the Thunder Beast at his side suddenly acted on its own. It looked down on the Moongazer's strength. Lightning flashed all over its body as it charged toward the ground. A thunderous roar echoed across the entire Yunxia planet. This action completely enraged the Moongazer. In an instant, all the tentacles stretched out wildly, surrounding the Thunder Beast from every direction. The Thunder Beast's lightning attacks had no effect on the tentacles at all. Its arrogance instantly turned into terror. Meanwhile, deep inside Yunxia planet, Tan Lang, who had been trapped for a full 100 years, was staying in the Moongazer's excretion and absorption area. The waste produced by the ascension fruits flowed down along the tentacles. Mixed with the Thunder Beast's lightning and foul, filthy sludge, it poured all over him from head to toe. Wang Lin casually threw out another large batch of ascension fruits and refined them into red mist. The mist covered the area where the Thunder Beast was trapped. The numbing effect of the ascension fruits immediately appeared. The tentacles wrapped around the Thunder Beast gradually loosened, and their color changed from dark red to bright crimson. Using this brief opening, the terrified Thunder Beast no longer dared to show off. It immediately shrank its body, transformed back into the god-slaying war chariot, and fled out in a miserable state. Wang Lin grabbed it and stored it inside his bag of holding. Inwardly, he shook his head. This Thunder Beast had power, but it was far too arrogant. Had Wang Lin not acted in time, it would likely have died here today. After dealing with the Thunder Beast's trouble, Wang Lin began moving alone. He continued using the same method as before. First, he used the red mist from the ascension fruits to numb the tentacles. Then he infused the condensed ascension fruit liquid into their roots. He repeated this process again and again. After several full days, he finally tampered with nearly 70 to 80% of the tentacles across Yunxia planet. Unfortunately, the ascension fruits were almost completely exhausted. He could no longer cover every tentacle. But Wang Lin did not dare leave again to search for more ascension fruits. This place was far too strange. Every extra moment he stayed brought another layer of danger. If the Moongazer fully awakened, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Once everything was prepared, Wang Lin's body sank downward. He drilled deep into the underground. The depths below were filled with thick, sticky liquid that gave off a nauseating stench. Wang Lin circulated his immortal energy to push away the mucus and carefully moved toward the golden flame mine vein. From his memories, before long he sharply sensed something unusual. Within the muddy slime there were faint traces of immortal energy fluctuations. Wang Lin's heart sank. The last time he came here, there had been no immortal energy in this place at all. This meant that during the past 100 years, another cultivator must have entered the Moongazer's body. Not only that they had used a powerful divine ability, that was what stimulated the Moongazer and caused it to shift from sleep toward its attack state. This discovery made Wang Lin even more alert. He slowed down every step, becoming extremely careful. At last, Wang Lin reached the depths underground. Before his eyes appeared a massive Moongazer bone radiating golden light. This was the final goal of his journey. As long as he absorbed this Moongazer bone, the heaven-defying bead would become truly complete. But Wang Lin did not act immediately. He knew that the closer he was to success, the more likely something unexpected would happen. He decided to carefully investigate first and confirm that no other cultivator was hiding nearby. Wang Lin slowly moved along the Moongazer bone. Before he had gone far, his footsteps suddenly stopped. On the Moongazer bone ahead, a massive crack had appeared. It had almost severed the entire bone. Wang Lin clearly remembered that the last time he came here, this Moongazer bone had been completely intact. He stepped forward and carefully examined it. Inside the crack, he found a huge mountain stone wedged deep within. Wang Lin was far too familiar with this stone. Back in the land of monster spirits, this was the life-bound magic treasure Tan Lang had used to attack him. A cold smile appeared at the corner of Wang Lin's mouth. So it really was Tan Lang, that lingering ghost who refused to disappear. He had chased Wang Lin all the way to the Luotian star domain, only to enter Yunxia planet one step ahead. Not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth, he had even attacked the Moongazer bone. And in doing so, he had created this enormous disaster. Wang Lin was just about to dig out the mountain stone and take it for himself when a bone-piercing chill suddenly came. From behind him, his scalp went numb in an instant. He did not even dare to use his divine sense to investigate. Relying purely on his battle instincts, honed through countless life and death struggles, he grabbed the mountain stone. At the same time, he cast the body-locking spell behind him and fled upward without even turning his head. The instant he flew away, Wang Lin caught a glimpse from the corner of his eye. A small moongazer about 10 zhang long had emerged from the mud behind him. The body-locking spell only stopped it for a brief moment. But that brief moment bought Wang Lin precious time to escape. Wang Lin fled with everything he had. Only after he was far away from that area did he dare to stop. He panted heavily, still shaken. His expression was extremely grim. There was actually a young moongazer here. The situation was far more complicated than he had imagined. What else had Tan Lang done? Could he still be alive? Was he hiding somewhere inside the moongazer's body? As Wang Lin continued deeper along the moongazer bone, he suddenly recalled the most terrifying record about the moongazer from ancient God 2C's memories: moon essence. This was the deadly poison inside the moongazer's body. Other than the blood of an ancient god, nothing in the world could neutralize it. Once a moongazer died, the moon essence would immediately detonate. The entire moongazer would self-destruct, turning the surrounding star region into a dead zone. That was why no one in the world had ever seen the remains of a moongazer. Tan Lang had been destroyed by his own greed. He had only sensed that Yunxia planet contained a power capable of destroying heaven and earth. Without even figuring out what it was, he recklessly charged inside. He thought it was an unparalleled treasure. But he had no idea that what he had set his eyes on was a planetary bomb that could explode at any moment. Once the moon essence detonated, most of the northern Luotian region would be reduced to ashes. Wang Lin searched almost the entire interior of the moongazer, but found no trace of any other cultivator. However, he understood one thing clearly. Anything swallowed by the moongazer would eventually gather in the excretion and absorption area. Several days later, Wang Lin endured the sharp, rotten stench and arrived at that region. Sure enough, he heard a familiar voice calling for help. It was Tan Lang, who had been trapped here for a full 100 years. During these 100 years, Tan Lang had lived a life worse than death. Back then, he had first overestimated himself and used his mountain stone to pry at the moongazer bone, causing the moongazer to awaken early. Later, still blinded by greed, he tried to touch the moon essence. As a result, the moongazer swallowed him in one bite and threw him into this lightless excretion pit. He had barely survived by relying on his life-bound great cauldron, but he could no longer escape. Every time he tried to flee, the tentacles would catch him and throw him right back into that foul, disgusting place. At this moment, after finally seeing someone arrive, Tan Lang was so excited he almost burst into tears. He kept sending divine sense messages, promising that he was willing to hand over every magic treasure he had collected in his entire life to Wang Lin. All he wanted was to be saved. But from beginning to end, Wang Lin did not say a single word. He did not even pause for half a step. He simply turned around and left. And this was exactly what made Wang Lin so admirable. He always knew what should be done and what absolutely should not be done. No matter how good Tan Lang's treasures were, they could never be more important than his own life. Wang Lin knew very clearly that with his current cultivation, entering the excretion area was easy, but getting back out would be almost impossible. Besides, he had already confirmed that only Tan Lang had come from the Alliance Star domain. There were no other helpers. He no longer had any worries holding him back. Wang Lin returned to the broken section of the Moongazer bone and released the immortal guard puppet to stand watch around him. Then he took a deep breath, with a thought. All the ascension fruit imprints he had previously fused into. The roots of the tentacles collapsed at the exact same instant. This was the most brilliant part of Wang Lin's entire plan. If only one tentacle absorbed the ascension fruit, it would mean nothing to a gigantic creature like the Moongazer. But if 70 to 80% of the tentacles absorbed it at the same time, then the power of countless ascension fruits would gather together and form an unstoppable wave of anesthesia. The entire Yunxia planet began to tremble violently. Countless tentacles stopped attacking at the same time. They swayed slowly as if drunk. An aura of extreme excitement spread out from the depths of the Moongazer's soul. It had completely fallen into the intoxication caused by the ascension fruits. All of its senses toward the outside world were lost. There would only be one chance. Without the slightest hesitation, Wang Lin stretched out both arms and pressed them against the broken Moongazer bone. Dao Transformation, Yellow Springs. Third form, Power of the Yellow Springs. A massive Yellow Springs river appeared out of thin air. It spread wildly along both ends of the Moongazer bone like two razor-sharp blades pressed tightly against the bone. With a low shout from Wang Lin, a terrifying suction force erupted. The entire Yunxia planet began to shake violently. Even the dense fog that had shrouded the planet for countless years was blasted apart in that instant. Inside Yunxia planet, brilliant light burst from Wang Lin's eyes. His arms drove the power of the Yellow Springs to its limit. The Moongazer bone, stretching for countless miles, began to writhe violently. The entire Yunxia planet was turned upside down. The ground split open with countless cracks. Endless tentacles stretched out madly. From afar, the planet now looked like an enormous sea urchin. At this moment, the power of the ascension fruits was pushed to its absolute peak. Although the Moongazer could feel the agonizing pain of having its bone extracted, it was numbed by that strange sense of excitement. It could not tell where the pain was coming from at all. All it could do was let out waves of confused roars. Madness and calm intertwined in Wang Lin's eyes. He suddenly stood up and grabbed the crack on the left side of the Moongazer bone. Veins bulged across his body. Then he let out a deafening roar. Under his full strength, this half-section of Moongazer bone, larger than an entire mountain range, was forcibly dragged out by 3 inches. As long as it could move, there was hope. Wang Lin pushed all of his immortal energy to the limit. The speed at which the Moongazer bone was being pulled out grew faster and faster. At the same time, the immortal guard puppet charged toward the other half of the Moongazer bone on the right. Its yin void realm power erupted, and it easily dragged that section out. One man and one puppet carried 2 enormous sections of Moongazer bone. They were like 2 tiny ants, dragging a pair of giant dragons madly rushing toward the surface. Just as they were about to break through the dense fog and escape into the starry sky, countless sluggish tentacles finally reacted. They wrapped tightly around the Moongazer bones. Without hesitation, Wang Lin summoned the soul flag that had followed him for more than 900 years. The soul flag let out a mournful cry. With a trace of determination, it destroyed itself with a thunderous explosion. It transformed into a black restriction filled with spiritual awareness, temporarily forcing back all the tentacles. This was one of the magic treasures that had followed Wang Lin the longest. Yet at this moment, for his sake, it burned away its final trace of power. Using this brief opening, Wang Lin and the immortal guard puppet dragged the Moongazer bones straight into the sky. But just as they were about to pass through the fog, the earth suddenly split open into a boundless, enormous mouth. The Moongazer had finally awakened completely. A roar that shook heaven and earth swept outward. The immortal energy inside Wang Lin's body instantly collapsed. He spat out a mouthful of blood. A deadly crisis descended without warning. In the memories of ancient god 2C, there were two lines used specifically to describe the moongazer. The first was, "If the heavenly Tao has the nether, then the ancient gods have the moon." This meant that the moongazer was like the soul of the ancient gods. Its origins were mysterious beyond imagination. Even the ancient gods themselves did not know when these creatures first appeared. And the second line was the one that left the deepest impression on Wang Lin. The wrath of the moongazer is like one finger from an ancient god. Only today did Wang Lin truly understand what those words meant. Carrying moongazer bones larger than mountain ranges, he and the immortal guard puppet fled desperately into the depths of space. He had also tried using the heaven-defying bead to absorb the moongazer bone, but the speed was shockingly slow. There was no way it could be completed in a short time. Amid violent tremors, the entire Yunxia planet slowly stretched open. It transformed from a planet into a true colossal beast. Countless tentacles waved through the starry sky. An aura capable of destroying heaven and earth swept in every direction. And it was at this exact moment that Tan Lang, who had been imprisoned for 100 years, finally found his chance. Taking advantage of the instant the moongazer opened its mouth to roar, he rushed out. Seeing the starry sky again, after 100 years, Tan Lang was so moved that tears filled his eyes. But then with one glance, he saw Wang Lin fleeing in the distance. Monstrous hatred instantly ignited in his eyes. Yet before he could even make a move, Wang Lin drank the last few mouthfuls of immortal wine without hesitation. He pushed all the immortal energy in his body to the absolute limit. Then he used the body-locking spell. Over 100 young moongazers were instantly frozen in place. Tan Lang did not escape the effect either. By the time he regained the ability to move, the moongazer had already rushed right up to him. With one bite, it swallowed him back inside. This endless rise and fall between hope and despair nearly made Tan Lang collapse. He bit the tip of his tongue and sacrificed 100 years of lifespan to activate his life-bound Great Cauldron. By force, he pried open the moongazer's mouth and escaped. "I don't want this damned cauldron anymore." With unbearable heartache, Tan Lang abandoned the Great Cauldron and turned to flee. But what he never expected was that the moongazer did not care about him at all. All of its attention was focused on that Great Cauldron. It spat the cauldron out and wrapped it tightly with countless tentacles. At the same time, it split off several more tentacles and sent them after Tan Lang again. Left with no choice, Tan Lang could only bring out the treasure he had kept hidden at the bottom of his reserves. The mountain and river painting screen. In an instant, the illusory image of 10,000 jang of mountains and rivers appeared in the starry sky. Its aura was majestic and overwhelming. Far away, Wang Lin saw this scene and his eyes went wide. Back then, he had already coveted this treasure greatly. But at that very moment, an ancient rune suddenly flashed within the moongazer's eye. Wang Lin recognized it immediately. That was the language of the ancient gods. As the rune flickered, a phantom finger 100 jang in size slowly condensed in front of the moongazer. This finger looked completely ordinary, yet it emitted a terrifying aura that made even the soul tremble. The wrath of the moongazer is like one finger from an ancient god. Wang Lin sucked in a cold breath. Cold sweat instantly covered his forehead. He finally understood the true meaning of those words. The power of this finger was enough to easily erase any cultivator in the yin-yang void realization realm. Even an old yang realization monster might not be able to withstand it.